here's another example of using directional variance in right triangle trig. So imagine you have a boat that leaves a dock in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and heads towards Freeport in the Bahamas at a bearing of south 1.4 degrees east. The yacht averages a speed of 20 knots, which is 20 miles per hour, and it travels 428 nautical miles in the trip. How long will it take the yacht to make this trip? So let's go ahead and construct what we're given here. So here is our origin, where we're starting. We have our south, our west, and our east. Now, the direction that this ship or this boat is going is south 1.4 degrees east. So you start at the south and you go 1.4 degrees east. So here's our 1.4 degrees. The direction that you're going is east from the south. And the the boat is traveling 428 miles. And now here's your boat down here. Here's the port where you started. How long will it take the yacht to make this trip? So think about the equation: distance equals the rate times the time. So we're trying to find out the time. So we have to solve this equation. So I'm going to just shorten up this to distance equals rate times time. I'm going to undo that rate, so I'm going to divide it by r. And now we have solved for t. Now let's go ahead and substitute what we know in. So we know that the distance that we travel is 428 nautical miles over the rate, the speed of the boat at 20 miles per hour. And when we divide that, we get 21.4 hours. All right, let's go on to part B. How far east and how far south is the yacht after 12 hours? So we need to find the distance that the boat is traveling. So I'm going to create our directional bearing. Here's our south, our west, and our east. So we're traveling at the same directional bearing from the south to the east of 1.4 degrees. So I'm going to create that right triangle. Here's our right triangle, 1.4 degrees. We have our east direction, our south direction, and the distance we have traveled. Remember, this is our yacht down here. This is where we started with at. Okay, so now we haven't gone, we head back up to the top. We haven't traveled 428 nautical miles yet. We are only at 12 hours. So we have to find out what is that distance. We're going to use that same equation. Distance equals the rate times the time. So let's see how far we've gone to find out this unknown x. So we sub in. Remember, the rate is 20 miles per hour. Our time is 12 hours. We multiply, and we get 240 miles. So that will be labeled right up here, or right there. All right, so now we know our hypotenuse. What it's asking us to find is how far east and how far south has the yacht traveled. So I need to find out what is this distance here in the direction of the east and how far in the direction of the south. So I'm going to go over to my right triangle here. I want to find this distance A and this distance B. So we're going to use right triangle trig to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just find side east first. So to find the distance east that this boat is traveling, I'm going to identify that as A, 1.4 degrees, and the distance that the boat has traveled is 240 miles. So we need to choose the appropriate trig function for this, and we're going to use the sine. So the sine of 1.4 degrees equals side opposite, which is A, over side hypotenuse, which is 240 miles. And now we solve this for A. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 240. Plug it into my calculator, make sure I'm in degree mode. And you get 5.86. So what that means is you're going 5.86 miles in the direction of the east. All right. The last part is to find how far south we're going. So I'm going to create a new right triangle. I want to find the south. 240 is going to be my hypotenuse, and I'm at 1.4 degrees. So the trig function that I'm choosing now is the cosine. The cosine of 1.4 degrees, side adjacent, which is B, and side hypotenuse, which is 240 miles. And now we solve this for B. So we multiply both sides by 240. So 240 times the cosine of 1.4 degrees. Sub it into our calculator. So B is approximately 239.93 miles, nautical miles, in the south. And they wrote my smartboard writing. So again, that last calculation there is 239.93 miles south.